Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and I'm just checking in with you a little bit after Thanksgiving. Finished a short week, and we're going into next week in the beginning of December. So I'm going to just review a few stocks going into next week. Other than I'm going to get the 10 for 1,000 watch list out also tomorrow on Sunday, so that's not a big deal. So we're going to do a lot of research this week, but I forgot to get on here. First of all, I wanted to mention, which I haven't really mentioned too much, but we are raising prices on the premium membership starting December 1st to $29.95. So it's, what is that, $5 more a month. That massive price, $29.95. Anyway, those who are members are already locked in. Whenever you have joined, whatever price you joined at, you're locked in for life. So no one has to worry about that. Just the people out there might be wondering if it's time to join up on the Day Trading Radio premium side. So I hope to see you there. And now we're going to go over some stocks. And those stocks, again, some great stocks set up for next week. This is just a few of them, just because I want to give you a little bit extra instead of just saying, hey, raising prices. But again, let's go over a couple of stocks that I like going into next week. These will probably be on the 10 for 1,000 watch list. So anything, these stocks plus an additional stocks that we'll be I'll be researching over the weekend. All right, let's start off with this one. OC, Owens Corning, and again, I've been talking about this one a lot today. This is probably one of my favorite setups going into next week, just because we come out of a very established channel, which we actually traded off of. This was what we call a high probability setup, a multiple indicator setup off the lower trend line. Also, getting a little wedge pattern on the stochastic. So this was a really nice trade up to the top of the trend line here. Kind of been pushing sideways, and finally we dropped back, and this is really the first test of that downward trend line, but the stochastic's getting back into an oversold level too. And this is what I call one of the prime, or my favorite secondary entry. Primary entries are usually off the lower trend lines and wedge patterns, channels. Secondary entries are the first pullback from the breakout of that pattern. So if you broke out of that pattern, it's usually the first pullback and the first time the stochastics get back into an oversold level since the breakout. And that's usually a really great entry. So OC, basically right at that level. So loving that one going forward. ISRG, it isn't a channel. I just want to bring it to your attention because, I do on the show is I have a very high positive trade I would say record, because I really tend to wait for the setups to come into play. And if there's not too many setups, then I'll definitely slow down on my trading. I think that's a big contribution to why my trades are usually successful, because I wait for the good quality setups. And and ISRG is in a setup where we're in a downward channel, and this is, this goes according to making a series of lower lows. And what you do is you look for the divergence, that happen out of a channel. And that's, a good lesson in itself is, waiting to see the price difference between the stochastics. If there's a channel, some type of channel, normally that channel will time properly with the, if it's a downward channel, you're going to make it lower lows with the stochastics making a low. And then finally, at one point, we might make a low on the stochastics, but the price level won't make a lower low. Not in this case. So this just tells me there's possibly a little more downside, but we're getting very close to a nice move up here on ISRG. So if we actually did pull back to this lower trend line, not that one there, excuse me. We actually did pull back to this lower trend line, it would be a great trade. I mean, absolutely fantastic trade. So something to put on your watch list down to that 230 level. You get down there, yeah, great trade. All right, Conagra Foods, CAG. This is very nice setup. Got into it today. And I've been waiting for it, actually just fell out of here. I was in it back here, and it fell out of the pattern. It wasn't really established on the lower trend line yet, and stochastics weren't really oversold. So it really took us down here, oversold us, gave us pretty much a triple bottom inside this downward wedge. And really like the strength today, and the oversold conditions and everything. It was just, seemed that the downward move down here is halted, and it looks like we're going to get a nice push back up towards that trend line. So CAG is good. Tyson was another stock that we took, TSN, and that was just a great example of what we call price stochastic divergence. Right now you got a series of, stochastics, and we really want to concentrate on that 20 line. And I really count the stochastics only when they're below 20. So in this case, you really can't determine other than the stochastics are oversold, and there's possible oversold indicators. So you get a bounce there, and eventually you start to form this pattern. And then each time the stochastics pull back into underneath 20, that price level continues to make a lower low. So you make a lower low, then you make another lower low, and then finally you get the pullback in the stochastics, but you don't make a lower low. You actually make a double bottom here, and that would be a key right there. That would be something that clues me in that the trend is about to change. The other thing is that this is a wedge pattern, and it usually breaks out about 75% into the pattern. So taking those combinations, you have to take that position here. And that's exactly what we want to do on every single stock. We want to have a reason why we're getting into it. We want to have the best risk-reward ratio going into it, meaning that we want to usually buy it on a pullback into a recognizable pattern, having the momentum just about turn positive. We're going to get the biggest move and the fastest move. So that's just great. I mean, we're just going to continue to do that. KMB, why didn't that show up? Why did not show up here? KMB. I'll pull back to a trend line. All right. What I like about this is a really established trend line. It goes a year out, and we're on that level. And it takes a few days sometimes for a stock to really churn around this level. We actually had a nice move earlier today. It actually reversed, came back, ended up being a positive day. Stochastics, like to see this start to turn back up, but just an area of interest. Not my favorite setup, but it's worth the entry here. AIG's set up for next week. Nice, really not many times you see the stochastic get down into an oversold level. So we did see it here after a while. We had it back here. So it looks like a great setup. I pay attention to when the oversold stochastics and the 50-period moving average line up together, and that's really a great area to watch there. So AIG is set up for next week. Two cheap stocks. Martha Stewart got into this one this week, and we got the nice pullback. And basically what this was, this little pullback right here, this is what triggered me into this one. I did notice the little bump down here, the double bottom. That's where we got in originally, off the double bottom. Added to it yesterday, because what I did see is we held the double bottom, and this is basically your bottoming pattern. You get a move down, all right, then you get a move up, and then you have a little retracement back, and then the move up all the way. So you get this W pattern, and I knew, we were getting, the stochastics were consolidated. We weren't making the new lows here, so we're going to actually do that. We're going to move up and continue to move up off of this. So Martha Stewart was a pretty easy setup for me. I liked it. I was very confident going into this one. I'd love to see these setups. Eastman Kodak, EK, is a similar setup. We're starting to see a positive stochastic divergence, meaning sideways price action on the 20-period moving average, downward move in the stochastics. Price level is under $5, so it's a little caution to be needed, but it still looks great. So Eastman Kodak holding this one, and the sometimes this tight consolidation on a real cheap stock like that, sometimes you get a little fake false breakdown, and then a reversal and it pushes back up. So you have to be prepared for that, honestly. Eastman Kodak, quality name, actually came out with great earnings here, great guidance from the CEO. So if this did pull back, I would just say this is a shake and bake of genius proportions here. BUD, Budweiser, giving you a secondary entry. First entry was off of here. We took it last week, got a nice gap up, sold it. Now you can see the channel starting to form. So we're right back down to the lower channel. Stochastics kind of turning over. This is almost ready. I would, continue to watch this and buy this one down in this $56 area. So Budweiser looking good. And I'm going to go over one more, ZNH. This is probably one of my favorite long-term trades. And the only reason I'm looking at this long term is just because it's a Chinese stock. It's a Chinese airline, Chinese Southern airline, and it's really the first pullback, the first organized pullback we've had in an uptrend. A lot of people don't like patterns like stocks that just trade and like ADRs. They trade overseas, and they're affected and they gap up or gap down based on their trade in their in their home country. But this is really just a classic channel pullback, and pull back right to the 50-period move, and stochastics pushed up. We're going to look for this one to break out, and we're going to break this one out to the upside. So one of my favorites. I love this. This is a longer-term swing trade. I would just hold this a couple weeks, and I think you got easy $5 in it in 2 weeks. Let's see how that plays out. Someone remind me, please. Remind me to go back to this one. This is a $40 stock, no doubt about it. Anyway, that's about it. So, I think that's about it. Yeah, that's it. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I will see everyone Monday. With 10 for 1,000 watch list will be coming out on Sunday evening. Prices will rise on December 1st, so if you definitely check it out, get yourself locked into that price. The prices will eventually go up and go up and go up, but I like to keep them low. I like to keep them, keeping it real and stuff. So, but definitely grab the bargain while you can. All right, that's it. Have a good one.
Day trading radio. We don't smoke the Norwegian, no. We always try to go with the flow at Day Trading Radio. That's DayTradingRadio.com.